In 1953, your grandmother scrubbed her windows with old newspaper and white vinegar. Today, cleaning product companies call that method primitive. But here is the twist. Researchers at Sheffield University tested it against leading brands and found something the industry does not want you to know. Number 14 on this list was discouraged by the British Standards Institution in 1967, but microbiologists now say it kills more bacteria than bleach. And number 3 creates a chemical reaction. Modern cleaning sprays cannot replicate. These 20 methods were so effective that entire industries were built on making us forget them. Dettol hired chemists. Flash changed formulas. If you knew what your grandmother knew, you would stop buying half the products in your Tesco trolley. Before we start, hit that subscribe button, because what you are about to learn might save you hundreds of pounds a year. Let us count down the 20 smartest cleaning secrets that vanished from British homes. Number 20. Newspaper for window cleaning. Before microfiber cloths cost £8 a pack, your mum cleaned windows with yesterday's Daily Mirror and a splash of vinegar. She would scrunch the newspaper into a ball, dip it in diluted vinegar, and work in circles until the glass squeaked. The ink acted as a mild abrasive, polishing the surface without scratching. That faint smell of newsprint and vinegar meant the front room was getting its weekly once over. A newspaper cost twopence in 1955. The vinegar came from the fish and chip cupboard. Total cost for sparkling windows across the whole house was less than a penny. Modern window sprays leave a residue that attracts dust within days. The newspaper method left glass so clean it stayed pristine for weeks. Print workers knew this secret too. The oils in newspaper ink created a thin protective barrier that repelled grime. When newspapers switched to soy-based inks in the 1980s, the method became less effective. But for 3 decades, this was the only window cleaner any British housewife needed. Before Shake and Vac promised to put the freshness back, your grandmother scattered damp tea leaves across the carpet and let them sit for 20 minutes. The leaves absorbed dust, trapped pet hair, and neutralized odors from cigarette smoke and coal fires. Then she would sweep them up with a stiff brush, taking all the dirt with them. In 1952, the average household drank nearly 8 cups of tea per day. That meant a constant supply of used leaves drying on the draining board, ready for their second life as a carpet cleaner. The tannic acid in tea acted as a natural deodorizer, breaking down the compounds that caused stale smells. Children watched mothers scatter the dark leaves like they were feeding invisible birds, then sweep them into neat piles by the hearth. The ritual was so common, it barely earned mention in household guides. Everyone simply knew. Modern carpet fresheners contain synthetic fragrances that mask odors rather than eliminate them. Tea leaves actually neutralized the source. When vacuum cleaners became affordable in the 1960s, the method faded. But scientists at Leeds University confirmed in 2018 that tannins genuinely bind to odor-causing molecules. Your grandmother was right all along. That orange box of bicarbonate sitting in your Nan's kitchen cupboard was her secret weapon against baked-on grease. She would mix it with water to form a thick paste, spread it across the oven interior, and leave it overnight. By morning, even the blackest burnt-on splatter would wipe away with a damp cloth. No fumes, no rubber gloves, no opening every window in the house. A pound of bicarbonate cost 6pence in 1956 and lasted for months. The alkaline paste broke down fatty acids through a process called saponification, essentially turning grease into soap. Your grandmother did not know the chemistry, but she knew it worked. Modern oven cleaners contain sodium hydroxide, which works faster but releases caustic fumes that can irritate lungs and burn skin. The bicarbonate method took longer but posed no risk to children or pets wandering into the kitchen, and it felt safer. Health and safety guidance in the 1970s pushed households toward commercial products, calling traditional methods unreliable. Yet a 2019 study published in the Journal of Environmental Health found bicarbonate paste removed 94% of common oven grime without toxic residue. Your grandmother never let water touch her cast iron skillet if she could help it. Instead, she would pour coarse salt into the warm pan and scrub with a folded newspaper or a dry cloth. The salt crystals scoured away food residue without stripping the precious seasoning that made everything taste better. Cast iron pans were wedding gifts that lasted generations, passed from mother to daughter with instructions as sacred as any recipe. A bag of cooking salt cost 4p and served double duty in the kitchen. The method worked because salt is abrasive enough to remove burnt food, but not so harsh that it damages the iron surface. Water, on the other hand, could cause rust spots and destroy years of careful seasoning. Modern dishwasher detergents and non-stick coatings made us forget how to care for iron. We threw away pans our great-grandmothers would have treasured. Food scientists now confirm that well-seasoned cast iron develops a natural non-stick polymer coating that no Teflon can match, and the salt scrub remains the safest way to preserve it. Number 16. Cold water for blood stains. When children came home with scraped knees and bloodied shirts, your grandmother knew exactly what to do. Cold water, never hot. She would hold the stained fabric under the running tap, rubbing gently until the mark faded. Hot water was forbidden. It would set the stain permanently, cooking the proteins into the fibers like egg white in a frying pan. This knowledge passed between mothers at the school gates, whispered wisdom that saved countless school uniforms. A National Health Service pamphlet from 1954 recommended the cold water method, noting that blood proteins coagulate above 40 degrees Celsius. Once set, no amount of scrubbing would shift them. Modern stain removers contain enzymes that break down proteins, but they work best when the stain has not been heat set first. Your grandmother's immediate cold water rinse gave those enzymes the best chance of success. Laundry product advertising in the 1970s emphasized hot washes for hygiene, leading a generation to make stains worse before trying to remove them. The old wisdom was better. Number 15. Lemon juice for limescale. Hard water left a white crust around every tap, kettle spout, and showerhead across Britain. Your grandmother's solution was simple. Cut a lemon in half, rub it directly onto the deposit, and wait. The citric acid dissolved the calcium carbonate like magic, leaving chrome gleaming and kettles scale-free. A lemon cost 3p in 1953, and one fruit could tackle an entire bathroom. The acid was strong enough to dissolve mineral buildup, but gentle enough not to damage metal finishes. That sharp citrus smell meant the bathroom was getting its weekly scrub. Modern descalers contain phosphoric or hydrochloric acid, chemicals that work faster but require careful handling and thorough rinsing. Lemon juice posed no such risks. Children could help with the cleaning without parents worrying about chemical burns. Water companies began adding phosphates to reduce lime scale in the 1980s, but the problem never fully disappeared. Those who remembered the lemon method kept using it, passing the knowledge to grandchildren who thought it quaint until they tried it themselves. First pattern break. Here is where things get interesting. That humble bar of Sunlight soap, the yellow block that sat on every kitchen windowsill, was more powerful than any modern cleaning product. Your grandmother would grate flakes into hot water, creating a solution that cleaned everything from shirt collars to kitchen floors. But here is the clever bit. She would save the soapy water after washing clothes and use it to scrub the front step, stretching every penny until nothing remained. Lever Brothers introduced Sunlight in 1884, and by 1950 it dominated British households. A single bar cost 9p and lasted a month of heavy use. The soap contained no synthetic detergents, just saponified fats that biodegraded harmlessly in the garden. Here is what cleaning product manufacturers do not want you to know. Synthetic detergents introduced in the 1950s were designed to work in hard water, but they also left residues that required more products to remove. The industry created problems to sell solutions. Your grandmother's Sunlight soap rinsed clean every time. When liquid detergents took over in the 1970s, the humble soap bar retreated to hardware shops and memories. Yet dermatologists now recommend pure soap for sensitive skin, and environmental scientists praise its biodegradability. Before optical brighteners promised whiter whites, your grandmother added a tablespoon of borax to every wash. The mineral powder softened hard water, boosted soap effectiveness, and lifted stains that ordinary washing left behind. White sheets came off the line so bright they seemed to glow against grey British skies. A box of borax cost 1 shilling at the chemist and lasted for months. The compound worked by raising the pH of wash water, making fatty stains more soluble and helping soap molecules work more efficiently. It also killed dust mites and neutralized odors from woolen blankets stored over summer. The British Standards Institution discouraged borax in 1967, citing concerns about skin irritation that later studies failed to confirm. The cleaning industry had just launched enzyme-based detergents and needed borax out of the way. Modern microbiologists have rediscovered borax as a powerful antibacterial agent. Studies show it inhibits mold growth, kills bacteria on contact, and leaves no toxic residue. Families who never stopped using it knew what scientists took decades to confirm. Crystal glasses emerged from your grandmother's washing up, sparkling without a single water spot. Her secret was a final rinse in water with a splash of white vinegar. The acid cut through any remaining soap film and prevented minerals from depositing as the glass dried. Those wedding gift sherry glasses stayed pristine for 50 years. Vinegar cost pennies a bottle, a fraction of the price of modern rinse aids that promise the same results. The acetic acid worked by lowering the surface tension of water, allowing it to sheet off glass rather than bead up and leave marks. In the 1970s, dishwasher manufacturers introduced rinse aid dispensers, selling expensive solutions to a problem vinegar had already solved. The products contained synthetic surfactants that left their own residue, requiring yet more cleaning. Your grandmother's method was simpler, cheaper, and more effective. Sommeliers and wine experts still recommend the vinegar rinse for tasting glasses, knowing that detergent residue can affect the bouquet of fine wines. Number 12. Bread for wallpaper cleaning. That stale loaf nobody wanted to eat became a cleaning tool in your grandmother's hands. She would cut thick slices of day-old bread and rub them gently across wallpaper, lifting soot, dust, and fingerprints without damaging the pattern. The soft texture was abrasive enough to clean, but gentle enough to preserve delicate surfaces. In homes heated by coal fires, wallpaper collected a fine layer of soot within weeks. Commercial wallpaper cleaners did not exist until the 1960s. Bread was free, effective, and available in every kitchen. Gluten in bread acted like a gentle eraser, picking up particles rather than grinding them deeper into the paper. Decorators' guides from the 1930s through the 1950s recommended the method for maintaining expensive hand-printed papers that could not withstand wet cleaning. When washable vinyl wallpapers arrived in the 1960s, the bread method became unnecessary for new homes. But those with period properties and original papers kept the tradition alive, knowing that no modern product could match the gentleness of a stale crust. Your grandmother mixed paraffin oil with beeswax to create a furniture polish that made mahogany glow like liquid amber. She warmed the mixture gently, applied it with a soft cloth, and buffed until the wood reflected the room. That distinctive smell of paraffin and wax meant the front room was being prepared for visitors. A tin of homemade polish cost 6pence in ingredients and lasted for months. The paraffin penetrated the wood grain, nourishing dried timber, while the wax left a protective sheen that repelled dust and fingerprints. Commercial polishers introduced silicone in the 1960s, promising instant shine without effort. But silicone builds up over time, creating a cloudy film that obscures wood grain rather than enhancing it. Antique dealers still recommend the paraffin and beeswax method for period furniture, because silicone polish can permanently damage valuable pieces. Second pattern. Break. Controversy incoming. Now here is where health and safety got it wrong. Your grandmother cleaned her wooden chopping board with salt and half a lemon, scrubbing hard before rinsing with cold water. The method was declared unhygienic in the 1970s, when plastic boards were promoted as safer alternatives. Every kitchen was urged to throw away wooden boards that had served families for generations. But here is what the scientists discovered 30 years later. Researchers at the University of California tested wooden and plastic chopping boards contaminated with bacteria. The wooden boards pulled bacteria down into the grain where they died, unable to multiply. The plastic boards, with their knife-scarred surfaces, harbored bacteria in scratches where they thrived despite cleaning. Your grandmother's salt and lemon scrub created an acidic, high salinity environment that killed bacteria on contact. The wood itself had natural antibacterial properties from tannins in the timber. We threw away centuries of wisdom because plastic seemed modern and wood seemed primitive. The old ways were not just effective, they were safer. Number 10. Washing soda for drain clearing. Before caustic drain unblockers lined supermarket shelves, your grandmother poured washing soda crystals down the plug hole, followed by boiling water. The alkaline solution dissolved grease buildup and kept drains flowing freely for months. She did this weekly as a matter of routine, preventing blockages rather than fighting them. A box of soda crystals cost 9pence and lasted for ages. The sodium carbonate broke down fatty deposits that collected in pipes, the same fat from Sunday roasts and fish and chip suppers that built up week after week. Modern drain cleaners contain sodium hydroxide, far more caustic and dangerous to handle. They work faster, but can damage old lead pipes and pose serious risks if splashed on skin or eyes. Plumbers who serviced Victorian and Edwardian houses saw the difference. Homes that continued the washing soda ritual had clear pipes for decades. Those that switched to modern chemicals often had corroded joints and recurring problems. Your grandmother placed oven racks in a black bin bag with a cup of household ammonia, tied it shut, and left it overnight in the garden. By morning, baked-on grease wiped away with no scrubbing needed. The fumes did the work while she slept. Household ammonia cost $1 a bottle at the hardware shop. The method worked because ammonia vapor broke down burnt-on carbon deposits through a chemical process that required no physical effort. The sealed bag concentrated the fumes where they were needed, while keeping them away from the kitchen. Health concerns about ammonia led to its disappearance from household cleaning in the 1980s. Modern oven rack cleaners contain the same active compounds, but in less effective concentrations, requiring more product and more scrubbing. Number 8. Milk for ink stains. When fountain pens leaked on school uniforms, your grandmother soaked the stained fabric in milk overnight. By morning, the ink had lifted into the liquid, leaving the cloth unmarked. The proteins in milk bound to the ink pigments, drawing them out of the fabric fibers. Fresh milk cost 4pence a pint, delivered daily to the doorstep. A small splash could save a shirt that might otherwise be ruined beyond repair. School-age children were notoriously rough on uniforms, and ink stains from leaky pens were a weekly occurrence. Modern ink formulations have changed, making this method less reliable for biro marks. But for fountain pen ink, the milk soak remained effective long after ballpoints took over. Calligraphers and artists who still use traditional inks know this secret, rescuing expensive paper and fabric when accidents happen. Number 7. Your grandmother laid white sheets and tablecloths on the lawn after washing, letting sunlight bleach them naturally. The ultraviolet rays broke down staining compounds, while the chlorophyll from grass released tiny amounts of hydrogen peroxide that enhanced the whitening effect. By tea time, yellowed linens emerged bright as new. No chemicals, no electricity, just sun and grass. The method appeared in household guides from the 1890s through the 1950s, endorsed by laundresses and housewives alike. Chlorine bleach existed, but was expensive and harsh on fabrics. Sunlight cost nothing, and actually strengthened cotton fibers through a process modern textile scientists still do not fully understand. When tumble dryers arrived in the 1960s, the grass bleaching method vanished within a generation. Sheets went from washer to dryer to airing cupboard without ever seeing daylight. The loss was aesthetic as much as practical. Something about sun-dried linens smelled cleaner than anything a machine could produce. Number 6. Chalk for grease stains. When cooking oil splattered on wallpaper or fabric, your grandmother reached for a stick of chalk. She would rub it generously over the stain, let it sit overnight, and brush away the powder in the morning. The grease came with it, absorbed into the chalk like water into a sponge. French chalk, also called talc, cost pennies at the haberdashery. The fine powder was so absorbent that a single application could pull oil from deep within fabric fibers. For silk ties and delicate fabrics that could not be washed, it was often the only safe option. Modern dry cleaning solvents work faster, but require professional equipment and carry environmental concerns. The chalk method was slow but completely safe for any fabric, any surface, any situation where liquid cleaning was impossible. Number 5. Potato water for silverware. Your grandmother saved the water from boiling potatoes, let it cool, and soaked tarnished silverware in it overnight. By morning, the black oxidation had lifted, leaving bright metal that needed only a light buff. The starch in potato water contained oxalic acid, a natural compound that dissolved silver sulfide without damaging the underlying metal. Commercial silver polishes contained harsh abrasives that removed a microscopic layer of silver with every use. Over decades, heavily polished pieces became noticeably thinner. The potato water method cleaned without abrading, preserving family heirlooms for future generations. Silver dealers and antique experts still recommend this technique for valuable pieces, knowing that abrasive polishing destroys hallmarks and reduces value. Number 4. Eggshells for bottle cleaning. Narrow-necked vases and decanters posed a cleaning challenge no brush could solve. Your grandmother crushed dried eggshells, dropped them into the bottle with soapy water, and shook vigorously. The shell fragments scoured the interior, reaching corners and curves that nothing else could touch. Every kitchen had a constant supply of eggshells, usually saved for the garden compost. Diverting a few for cleaning cost nothing and solved an otherwise impossible problem. The calcium carbonate in shells was hard enough to scrub, but soft enough not to scratch glass. Crystal decanters that had served generations emerged, sparkling from the eggshell treatment, ready for the next family gathering. Number 3. Copper penny in the toilet cistern. Here is the method that scientists say creates a reaction modern products cannot match. Your grandmother dropped a copper penny into the toilet cistern, where it sat forgotten for months. The copper slowly released ions into the water, preventing lime scale buildup and inhibiting bacterial growth with every flush. A pre-decimal penny contained enough copper to remain effective for years. The metal released microscopic amounts of copper 2+ ions, which disrupted cell membranes in bacteria and algae. This same principle now drives expensive copper-infused cleaning products and antimicrobial surfaces in hospitals. Research published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology in 2012 confirmed that copper surfaces kill 99.9% of bacteria within hours. Your grandmother achieved the same effect with a coin she found down the back of the sofa. Number 2. White spirit for sticky residue. Price labels, ancient sellotape, and mystery gunk that nothing else would shift dissolved instantly when your grandmother applied white spirit on a rag. The solvent cut through adhesive residue without damaging most surfaces, leaving glass and metal clean as new. A tin of white spirit cost 1 shilling and 6pence at the hardware shop, and it lasted for years of occasional use. The hydrocarbon solvent worked by dissolving the polymer chains in adhesives, breaking them down into components that wiped away easily. Modern adhesive removers contain similar solvents in smaller, more expensive packaging. The white spirit in your grandmother's cupboard was the same product, purchased for a fraction of the price. Do-it-yourself enthusiasts and antique restorers still keep white spirit on hand, knowing it solves problems that specialist products cannot touch. Number 1. Vinegar and bicarbonate drain volcano. The most effective drain cleaner your grandmother knew combined 2 ingredients from her kitchen cupboard. She would pour bicarbonate of soda down the plug hole, follow it with white vinegar, and stand back as the mixture fizzed and foamed. The chemical reaction dislodged blockages that neither ingredient could shift alone, sending debris washing down the pipes. The bicarbonate and vinegar reaction produces carbon dioxide gas, which expands rapidly in the confined space of a drain pipe. This expansion physically pushes against blockages, while the alkaline and acidic compounds dissolve grease and organic matter. Modern drain cleaners rely on caustic chemicals that can damage pipes and pose serious risks if misused. The vinegar and bicarbonate method was safe enough that children watched in fascination as the volcano erupted from the sink. Scientists at the University of Bristol tested the method in 2017 and found it as effective as commercial products for routine maintenance. For severe blockages, professionals still reach for caustic chemicals, but for weekly prevention, your grandmother's volcano works perfectly. Here is my challenge. Try one of these this week, just one. Try newspaper for windows, tea leaves to freshen carpets, or a salt scrub for your grandmother's cast iron pan that you inherited but never used properly. Then come back and tell me if I am wrong. Tell me if your grandmother was just being old-fashioned, or if she actually knew something the cleaning product industry spent millions making us forget. I tested these methods and I cannot go back. My windows stay cleaner for weeks. My wooden chopping board smells fresh instead of suspicious. My drains have not blocked once since I started the Friday bicarbonate ritual. Share which one you are going to try in the comments. I want to see if the copper penny gets more love than the potato water silver trick. I want to know if anyone else's grandmother saved bread specifically for the wallpaper. These were not just cleaning secrets. They were wisdom that chemical companies spent fortunes to replace with expensive alternatives that often work worse. Your grandmother knew. Now you know, too.